Greetings, loyal listeners, to the Why Do Boys Make podcast, the companion podcast to the Why Do Boys Play Games Fantasy League. I am your host, Mr. Colin. Leading the podcast today is the only winner of their matchup. Joining me are the KG veterans, Corby and Fitzy. How are you guys holding up?
Colin, thanks for asking. My win total is low. My points for are low, but my spirits are high. I feel like for the first time in a couple of weeks, I really got something to say on this episode. I've got a fire in my heart. Corby, how about you?
You know, I'm feeling pretty good. All things considered, a loss is a loss, but like you said, Fitzy, morale is high, and we've got a long time left in the season, If it was over now, it wouldn't be good, but feeling great.
Yeah, we'll talk more about your guys', respective losses later, looking at the matchups, but we're about a little less than third way through the season. There's plenty of games left. No biggie. A loss, one loss, two losses, even 5 losses, all right?
Yeah, who would have that?
So let's jump just straight to the mailbag. You guys ready to read some comments?
Absolutely.
Do you guys know how many comments this video got?
We got quite a few, Colin. What's the total here?
Would you believe me if I told you we dipped into double digits?
My goodness.
No, it was mostly, just 3 or 4 people kind of going into a dialogue, including myself, so I don't know if I count, but it got to 10 comments. So we're going to start with Adam here. He makes a comment about one of the bets we made. The Patriots' implied total this week using betting odds is, get this, 24.5 points. And then he used some eye emojis. So that was a reasonable line for us to set it at. I think ours was 23.5. We'll get to the result of that bet later, but suffice to say it didn't really matter either way. But an interesting observation by the betting master himself, Adam.
We had a bit of a back and forth dialogue, and I'll just go through the entire thread here, in which Mike Bekonowitz commented, Conk points per week, 11.6, 10, 16.4, 8.2. Solid tight end for $1. I got receipts from the haters. Adam. Breece Hall points per week, 10.1, 13, 15.2, 15.8. Solid RB in a year of bad running back play. Gotta be worth the 23 I spent. Zach Wilson is a god. Love hearing Colin say too many mouths to feed in New York. When has that ever been the case? Go Jets. Question for the pod. Fantasy-wise, is anyone going to win out the rest of their matches? Now, I want to hold that question because Adam had something to say. How many points did Conklin have week 5? Now, I have to hand this one to Mike. Mike commented 2 days ago, his original one. Adam popped in just 21 hours before we record this pod, and Mike was on him in minutes. At Adam Belargerin, 1 week out of 5 is fine. Adam says, at Mike Bekonowitz, I'm seeing now that he had 0 points. Mike says, rest day. You guys keeping the fire up in the comments is what has ignited the fire within me this week. Thank you for keeping it rolling. Now I'm going to flip it over to you first, Corby. If you have an answer for Mike's question, is anyone going to win out the rest of their matches? Who would you point to?
I don't think anybody will. I think that the fantasy landscape this year feels really, really weird and all over the place. So I'm just thinking that anyone can lose at any time. That's pretty much it.
I think you're right. I would actually take the field in terms of I don't think anyone's going to go undefeated for the rest of the season. But if one team's going to do it, honestly, Mike, it might be yours. You've got this team of destiny feel around you. You've been banking this luck for years and years and years, and you're cashing it in this year. So very happy for you. Colin, thoughts?
I definitely agree that I don't think anyone will. And Corby is totally right. This is it just feels so weird. Just looking at the positional rankings, who's at the, Taysom Hill's tight end 3, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think it's a top 10 running back probably still. It's just Josh Jacobs just had their back-to-back 30-point games. It's just Geno Smith. I don't know what's going on this year, but yeah, I don't think anyone will win out the rest of the year. It's also, I think, a weird year for our league. I feel like there's just there's 5 top dogs, and I feel like maybe that is normal. I don't know, but I feel like it's a very top-heavy year this year. Yeah, Mike, maybe we can go over his team later, but he's priming for a. I mean, he's not really a breakout since he's 4-1, but he's pretty much broken out. But he's got a killer team. So if there's anyone who can do it, yeah, Mike's a good pick.
Our next comment is also from Mike, beginning with Mike, another thread. Mike says, the age range for flag football was 8 to 15. Dewey Boyman chimes in as a reply, are you serious? That's ridiculous, LOL. And Mike says, yes, LOL. We played in high school. So bad. No wonder you guys won the championship.
Yeah.
It's literally pre-pubescent. And then
Yeah.
like fully through puberty, so like
Of course you've got a cannon arm. The other kids are still playing t-ball, Colin. Come on.
Jesus Christ. And our last comment is from Chris Colby. Fuck you. It says main baked potato or footlong from Subway. I'm gonna take this one first here. I'm gonna say a footlong from Subway. I know what I'm getting in both situations, but I'm not waiting 2 hours for a sub. You know what I mean?
I think that's a good pick. If it's just the food and either of them are on a plate being served to me, I'll take the potato. But in the context of the Big E versus the context of, it's legitimately fast food versus the slowest food on earth. So I'm going to take the Subway. I think we got a sweep here, Colin, right?
Yeah, that's exactly the rhetoric you just said. It says that, in a vacuum, I want a potato. But if I'm waiting in line for like an hour, give me the sandwich.
And I know Corby said last comment, but one snuck through the algorithm here, and it's Adam, who had to let us know.
Oh, yes.
Let me tell you what I think about frog spit. I'm for it. In the sunny months, it's the only thing I trust, and the naked lady shoots me with the fish. I want to fall back. I want to fall back.
Colin, what's our next segment?
So that's it for the mailbag. So I guess we're just jumping straight into matchups. The first matchup we got here, we got Cash, who was co-hosting with us, against Chris Patnode, and Tyler took it. He took it with a 2 hundo burger, so good for him. Absolutely everybody took Tyler except the coin. You know that coin, that classic contrarian. He took Chris. And I mean, Tyler just had a crazy week. Really no duds except Renfro on Monday night, but he didn't need him. Who cares? Besides that, pretty much everyone else either exceeded or very nearly hit their projections. What do you guys think? Is Tyler is he beatable?
I mean, not in a week like this. He's not. Here he is the week after coming on the pod. He gets the pod bump, of course. Everyone wants to be a guest because they get the pod bump. He comes on and discusses getting rid of defense. And then he goes up and racks a 25-point defense score to get him over the top on that 200 burger. I can't believe Raheem Mostert has been getting volume carries for 2 full weeks and hasn't gotten hurt yet. I mean, he's going to show up on the injury report like at practice this week, right? Meanwhile, Chris, I think I said something about your team last week and how you had the 3 horsemen of non-receiving running backs. And you might have just looked at your team and gone, yeah, you're right, Fitzy. I don't know. Joe Mixon might have too many receptions on the year. So you trade him away for Derrick Henry. I love the team, but this one was a no-doubter for Tyler.
Yeah, you guys have already said it. Tyler lays a smackdown on Chris P in this one. More on smackdowns later. Bye weeks are coming, and I'm thinking, is Tyler going to start to fall off now because he doesn't get to start his super roster every week? I don't know. Chris, you made a trade with me, and I think you made your team better for sure. So I think better days are ahead for you for sure.
In our next matchup, we've got the powerhouse of Mike taking on the other powerhouse of Chris Cloud. Now, Mike gets the win. Fitzy on the coin, myself, I should say, in the coin, both on Chris Cloud, Corby, Colin, and Cash, all on the right side with Mike. Now, I've been saying it all year. This is Mike's year. Mike is now 4-1, and somehow that's only good enough for 5th place. Now, it's early, but it's shaping up to be a 7-person battle to see who can come in 6th place. Corby, you're in the slot right now. Chris on the other side, still putting up 150 after sitting Jonathan Taylor for nobody at all. It looks like we'll be looking for the return of the Mac to the waiver wire. Matt Collins, that is.
That's pretty good. Yeah, Mike, no tight end, no problem. Conklin, like you said, has a rest day, and you still have a awesome week. A lot of great performances. Nice to see these guys go off. And Chris, you didn't even have a bad week either. You put up 150, which was a lot more than a lot of people in this league. Still have a solid team.
Yeah, I mean, Mike just had he had a great week, and he's just has such an awesome team. He had an awesome week here, and then the arrow only goes up. Brees Hall is probably only going to get more opportunities, and we'll talk about a little more maybe, but he's got Kenneth Walker on his bench. He got George Pickens. He just has him, and he started him, who's probably going to be really good now that Pickett's in for Pittsburgh. So, great week for Mike. No real weaknesses. Iffy, quarterbacks, but I mean they're mediocre at worst, really. So, just a great team from Mike, and a great week for his great team. Next, we got Taylor versus Eric. Eric took the win. He gets his first win of the year. Good for you, Eric. We all took Taylor, except Fitzy. Fitzy believed in Eric, and he got the dub. So good for you, Fitzy, for believing him.
Oh, that's right. I have this one as the matchup of the week. Less than 5 points separated these two. Taylor's team is absolutely cursed this week, as he had to start Teddy over both of the New England quarterbacks on his bench. And swag strat alert, Taylor has Gus Edwards on his bench because he's keeping Brian Hoyer in his IR spot. Taylor, love the move. Eric, for your team, my only note here is that I find it so funny to see this sad team name, the sad team picture, and this putrid score with a diamond Yahoo ranking around your portrait. Congrats, man. You made it.
Wow. My only note on this one is that Taylor scored over 100 points less than he did last week. So that's just the volatility of fantasy football, or just Taylor in general. That just feels like that's what Taylor's team always is. And also, this is just a low-scoring, shitty, gross matchup. I feel like we're getting a lot of toilet bowls this year. Ay. All right, and the next one, it was me versus Adam, and I got beaten pretty badly by Adam. My team is so boring, I couldn't even come up with a punchline for this joke. My team reminds me of when Fitzy put a bagel in the toaster and toasted it, and then took it out and just ate it with nothing on it. That's it. That's all I got.
Corby, I got to correct you on 2 notes here. First, I'm going to correct you on that fact. I put it in an oven because there was no toaster. It's a step worse than what you said. But your team is about 2 steps better. So, Corby, I'm writing this note because your fantasy father, Travis Kelce, scores 4 touchdowns, and that might feel like a waste in the week that you put up, but that's not a waste. That's him showing you how much he loves you to keep you scoring more than 100, more than Brandy, more than Taylor, more than Eric, and keeping you in 6th place for the moment. Points for is really going to be important toward the end of the year for you. Now, on the flip side, I've got a stat for you. Adam has a bit of a Jamar Chase-like stat going on here that I think we all need to bring ourselves some full attention to. Rounding to the nearest full point, Adam's weekly scoring on odd weeks has been 157, 157, and that's right, 157 in week 5. So, Adam, keep it up.
Yeah, Adam, I feel like this is a classic Adam week with 2 guys above 30 points and nobody in the 20s, and then a few guys in the teens, and then a bunch of single digits. Just a true studs and duds team.
Yep.
But it was enough to get the win, so good for him. Corby, I don't know if your team is in trouble, but it was a tough week, and sometimes that just happens. Make some trades. I guess actually you did make a bunch of trades, so good for you. What do we got next? We got Brandy taking on Chris Colby. Chris Colby got the win. Me, Fitzy, and the coin all took Brandy. And Corb didn't believe in his wife, but Cash also took Chris Colby. I'm a little disappointed because I definitely believed in Brandy this week to beat all the haters. Didn't work out that way. Kamara got it done, but that was about it. Meanwhile, Chris Colby, Lenny, and Devontae led the way, and Tyler Lockett got 2 touchdowns because Gino is a wizard. What do you guys think?
I mean, my big theme for this matchup, we'll get to my terrible tight end choice, but let it be known that this matchup saw 3 tight ends start and combine for less than 10 total points. Chris, love the new team name, but at 2-3, you're only a win or two, and maybe a couple of points away from being in the playoff picture here. So I'd say you're not a shipwreck. You're either in a life raft or building a heck of a small jungle society over there on Colby Island, depending on how you look at that James Conner injury. Brandy, we're in a league that focuses too much on recency bias. So you might be looking at your score last week and being down on yourself, but never forget that I scored 82 points just 2 weeks ago. So you are safely not in 12th place.
Yeah, you're not in 12th place yet, but you will be soon. I don't like your team at all, still. Not more tough sledding this week. Maybe it'll get better week 7, but again, maybe next week. And finally, the matchup we've all been waiting for. It was co-host v co-host, Fitzy versus Colin, where the victor was obviously Colin. Because, I mean, we've got 0-5 boy over here. Fitzy, we've seen your ceiling, though. You know, that was your highest scoring total of the season. So that's great, I guess, if your ceiling is 141. Colin, you're going to keep being Colin, I guess. Your team is great. Love your team.
Yeah, I had the same note about how this was Fitzy's top scorer of the year. I mean, unfortunately, he was playing someone who scored a little more. It was a tough week. First of all, because Naheem Hine went down really early in the game. He could have been primed for a big week. And Gabe Davis, did Gabe Davis things. It was something that was, I mean, he just as easily could have got like 2 points and then Fitzy would have won. So that's tough, but I mean, that's the way the game is played. Just a real quick, a shout out to Evan Ingram. I doubted him. I was talking shit about him. But look at what he did. Look at my boy.
Does that mean you're going to start him this week?
Of course, I'm starting him. I can't believe I doubted this guy. I'm starting him the rest of the year. Forget it. Just fuck it. Unless I make a trade or something. Fuck it.
Gotta start swag strat, starting him while he's on his bye. That's great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's your totem, Colin. You're undefeated while starting Evan Ingram. Think about
very
it.
True.
So, I really do appreciate you guys highlighting the fact that you're right. My team is on the rise with my highest score of the year. I wouldn't call that a ceiling. I would call that a step up the staircase in the right direction. Colin, in all honesty, you were the obvious choice here. You earned the victory, but I can't help but feel that this victory has been tainted. So I'm going to need your full buy-in to let me speak my piece. I'm going to kick it to Corby, and then you can talk. I just need a safe space to bring this forward. I do not bring this forward from a place of anger, but as a steward of the league. Colin, last week you dropped Josh Reynolds to pick up Irv Smith, then dropped Irv Smith to pick up Hayden Hurst, and finally dropped Hayden Hurst to pick Josh Reynolds back up, effectively not changing your team while making 2 top tight ends unavailable, while Kyle Pitts on my team was eventually declared out. Did you execute those ad drops on Hayden Hurst and Irv Smith last week so that I couldn't pick them up against you? Simple yes, no for now.
No.
Okay. I'm glad to hear you say no, but I still feel that this unspoken rule that we do not do that unto one another, least of all to an 0-5 team when you are 5-0. I know you work on weekends, so you understand the, there's no special rules for us, but I haven't been able to watch Sunday football this year. Been busy the past couple of weeks. When I looked on Sunday morning, Kyle Pitts is out, and these 2 tight ends are unavailable. My goodness, I was skeptical to say the least. So
why did you do that?
So why did you do it then?
Okay, so it's can I speak now? So I guess all I can say is, first of all, look at the transaction times, because they're all really far apart, but relatively, like if I were to roster churn, it's called roster churning. I don't know why I know the name, but if I were to do that, it would all be back to back. The fact is I think this was this like around the weekend, right? And I'm just at work, and all I do, I work a menial manual labor job, and I'm just thinking in my head all day, and I'm like, what should I do with my roster? So I'm like, on break, I'll make a move, or in the morning I'll make a move, and I was like, okay, I don't want to start Evan Ingram. I think T. Higgins' health was like in question, so I picked up Hayden Hurst, and then it was Irv Smith first. I think I just picked up Irv Smith because I was like, okay, he's on the waivers. I'll pick him up. Why not? Maybe I'll play him. And then I was like, oh, Hayden Hurst will probably have a better week because T. Higgins on there. So I picked up Hayden Hurst. And then I don't know what the last thing was. Oh, I think it was because I was like, I don't know, DJ Chark is still out. I don't know. For some reason, I was like, I'll just roll with it. I don't know what the rationale was. I don't remember.
You
But
picked him
I
back up. You had originally you didn't
right,
change
right.
your roster at all.
Right. In the end, it didn't change at all. But I swear to God, I promised you that it was not. But I did realize when I did it, I was like, because I realized what I was doing. Not in the moment, but I was like, oh wow, like, I don't know when Kyle Pitts was announced out, but I didn't, you know, I swear to you that it was not with that intention. I promise to you.
So I rescind the accusation. You walk me through it. It's still
just look at the times. Like if I don't know. I feel like if I did that,
it's the outcome is what it is. Let's say you're innocent, but Corby, in a hypothetical place where Colin had done this on purpose, I'd like your opinion. Is waiver cycling the wrong thing to do in this league? I feel like we have an unspoken rule. Am I right?
I don't find anything wrong with it. I think it's a fun strategy type thing, but like I won't do it if it bothers people that much. Like I don't care. That's fine.
Yeah, this is why like in 2 tight end they have in 2 tight end they have like the transaction limit, which is a fine rule. I'd be fine instituting that. But just like I guess it depends on your opinions of unwritten rules. I remember a few years ago, like Adam had a good team, and he was on the cusp of making the playoffs because I think he had like a bad start. And if I lost my game, I was already clinched in the playoffs. And if I lost my game, he would have got in. And so the question was, do I lose it on purpose and not let Adam in? I think we also had money on it. Is actually what happened, me and Adam. So maybe that would have been doubly unethical. but I could have lost on purpose and still gotten to the full playoffs, and Adam would have missed. Even though that would maybe be advantageous to me, like you said, that's just like like we're friends. Like why would you do something like that scummy? Like it's just like let's like win honestly.
Yeah. So my last
I
two
promised
notes,
you I didn't do that.
And I do believe you. My last two notes are, even if we had a transaction limit, Colin, even with these three, you only had 4 ads last week, so you wouldn't have been over that theoretical 4-person limit. I'm not proposing we create that limit because I don't think anybody is breaking any unspoken rules. Final note is, it is an embarrassment that I eventually had to start Juwan Johnson at tight end, but of tight ends that started in this league this week, he scored more than 4 of them. Tyler Conklin had 0 for Mike. Darren Waller had 0 for Chris Colby. TJ Hawkinson, 1.6 for Taylor. And Gerald Everett at 1.2 for Chris P. So, like, a middling tight end on the week scored 2.3 points. Ugh.
So, do you know if they were all available, do you know who you would have went with?
Yeah, no, you're right. I probably would have started Juwan Johnson over Irv Smith. You're right. No.
And Hayden Hurst?
No, I'm obviously joking. Those would be the top 2 tight ends.
But do you have any idea which one? Because Hayden Hurst, I think, had a great game. Did Irv Smith do anything? I don't know.
I think he had like 5 or 6 points. So not like he didn't like blow the doors. I think he had like 3.
So either way, I don't think he would have won. But
no, like it wouldn't have changed anything.
It's just the principle of the matter.
I was coming forward because I thought that you had gone 200 IQ when you could beat my team at about 100.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would I do that?
Yeah, thank you for saying that.
Although I will say, real quick, just the last thing. Before the game was played, I was like, before the game started, I was like, this is a trap game. Like, Fitzy could very easily beat me. I've seen my floor. I once scored 110. When I saw like Naeem's projected for like 16 points, I was like, oh no. I was ready to lose. I really was. And it didn't work out that way, but like, you're going to get some dubs. I know you will.
Thank you, Colin.
Yeah, okay. So on the week, I went 4-2. I'm now 18-6. Corby went 5-1. He's 11-1. Wow, what a pro. Fitzy went 2-4, so you're 12-12 now. You are very contrarian this week. Cash went 5-1. Good for him. And the coin went 0-6. So it's now 9-15. It's having a tough time.
Is that the first time in the history of this pod where the coin doesn't pick one correctly?
Oh, is it? Maybe.
I wonder.
We had a 6-0 earlier this year.
That feels like 0-6 has just never happened before.
It'll find its level. Don't you worry.
We've had a pretty boring time with the transaction watch. We've just been looking at a bunch of pictures of dollar fab offers. But now we get to look at some trades. I did include the Duvernay trade just because we could discuss it maybe for a second. But what do we got? We got 4 trades here. And Corby, you were in 2 of them. So good for you. Fitzy, you were in another. And then there was one with none of us. So Duvernay for Gage. How'd that work out for you, Chris? Because Duvernay, I mean, he didn't have a great game, but he had a fine game. He won anyway, so I guess he doesn't care. But good for you, Fitzy. This guy looks like he's a starter for the rest of the year. Do you think so?
You kidding me? Absolutely. He had 3 rushes for 24 yards. That's better than half my running backs on any given week. That's great.
Well, I think the Yahoo notes said like Debo Light or something. The poor man's Debo because he was rushing.
Oh man, yeah.
I think Duvernay's ascension is got to be one of my new favorite like storylines in fantasy football. I don't know
love
why.
how like we all laughed because he was like, "Oh, look at him projected," and now he's doing great.
I know
He's meeting
it's
with
awesome. He's
And what's wild?
showing us.
What's wild is Yahoo has since adjusted his projections
They
down.
nerfed him.
It doesn't make any sense. They were like, he's going to score 13 points every week, and then he did, and they're like, no, it's going to be 9 now. No, he's going to keep it up.
Devin Duvernay, keep flexing on the haters.
Yes.
Corby, you traded Andy Dalton to Chris Colby, who once famously traded like Mike Vick for like what was it? It was like LaShawn McCoy and Calvin Johnson for Mike Vick or something. When Mike Vick was like on the Steelers, that's not literally what it was, but it might as well have been. The point is, Chris Colby loves his backup quarterbacks, his insurance quarterbacks. So what do you think? Fitzy, what do you think?
Did you say who he traded for?
Oh, did I? He traded Andy Dalton for Drake London, who obviously is not, LaShawn McCoy, prime LaShawn McCoy. And, I mean, he's had a couple down weeks, but he was looking like a legit wide receiver, too, to start this season. He could get back there once the Falcons remember how to pass the ball. So I don't like it at all. I think
I will say on behalf of Chris Colby, who we were expecting to have on the pod pretty shortly here, I think that it's not that he regretted that trade, but the signal that it gave off, people in the league saw that trade and they were like, oh, let me try to give him my really shitty quarterback. And like, he doesn't need one anymore. He's got his really shitty quarterback. You don't know how long we're going to have Winston out with a broken back. So it is a fair enough safety blanket. But yeah, Drake London, I would love to have on my team.
Yeah, this was kind of just like a pipe dream. Like I just was scrolling. I was like, hey, who needs a quarterback? Oh, Chris Colby needs a quarterback. I would say, who could I trade Andy Dalton to Chris Colby for? And it was Drake London. It was my first send, and it was accepted. And I did not even realize it was accepted because I think my phone was on silent mode or something like that. So I just feel very, very fortunate to have him.
Yeah, and then, well, I guess it was a longer period than I thought. But to me, I saw these back to back. I guess I just didn't check the app for a bit. Because the next day, Corby went out and made a league shaker. Did you make this offer, Corby, or how did this?
I did make this offer.
There was no counter offer, or what?
I will disclose. I will disclose as much as I can, with confidentiality. So I was proposed a trade by Chris, and I was like, okay, I saw the trade, and then I sent this one to him, and then he accepted it.
This is Chris Patnode, by the way.
Yes, Chris Patnode. So I'll break down the trade and break down my thought process, I guess. So I traded away Derrick Henry, Deontay Johnson, and Trevor Lawrence, and I received AJ Brown, Joe Mixon, and Jacoby Brissett. For those who are unaware, or have forgotten, it's a 2-quarterback league. So I took a downgrade here in quarterback, but I feel like Jacoby Brissett's a fine backup. I could play the matchups with him if I really wanted to, but I feel pretty good about my starters, so I feel fine about that. And I was really buying into AJ Brown here. I just think that guy is really good, and I feel like his ceiling is really, really high. So I'm shooting for the stars there, and I just think that Joe Mixon will always get work, even though I don't think that he's that great. It's sad to say goodbye to Derrick Henry, but I feel fine with the trade.
This is the second year in a row Chris Patnode has traded for Trevor Lawrence. I guess he didn't learn last year, because how did Trevor Lawrence reward him this week? The shittiest game against the Texans. I guess I'm just salty. I saw this trade and I was very upset. Not because now looking at it objectively, it's a fine trade. I think I was just really salty because I've been trying to trade for AJ Brown for Chris for every week. I agree with Corby. I think he's got an awesome ceiling. He's on a great offense. He didn't have a great week last week, but he's going to be fine. And then Deontay Johnson, I'm not too excited about him with Pickett. He's not like, Trubisky kind of laser focuses, just like he did with Allen Robinson in Chicago. He kind of laser focuses on his short little passes, which is great for Deontay. Deontay had a shit ton of targets to start the year. But I was wrong because I think Deontay Johnson had like 13 targets last game. So he'll be fine. Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. It's a fine trade for everybody, pretty lateral almost, really. I mean, Derrick Henry is better than Joe Mixon a bit. I would say A.J. Brown is a good deal better than Deontay, and then Jacoby and Trevor. I'm biased from last year. I don't like Trevor Lawrence. I think they're almost a wash to me. Jacoby's been pretty good this year. The only thing is we don't know if he's going to start the whole year. So it's a fine trade. I probably like Chris's side, honestly. I would probably rather have Derrick Henry and Deontay. But Fitzy, what do you think?
Hey, I think I've got pretty similar notes to what you guys had. I'll just make the side comment that your comments about how fun it is to have AJ Brown. I've said it on the pod a couple times this year. There's no one more fun to own than AJ Brown. That's Derrick Henry on the running back side. And then Corby, you said Joe Mixon, he's always going to get work. Deontay Johnson, he's getting a bad quarterback, sure, but he's going to get work. Trevor Lawrence was the thing that sweetened the pot that made that Deontay to Joe Mixon swap worth it. So I see this as a pretty even trade on both sides. I can see how it fits both teams pretty well. And Colin, I will enter the last trade here. A tradition unlike any other is Taylor trading away a flex player for a backup quarterback. And Teddy Bridgewater was immediately cursed by Taylor's team when he gave him away for Hunter Renfrow. Now, Hunter Renfrow didn't do too much. He's going on his bye this week, so it's not like Tyler is like, rubbing his hands together, just got a steal or anything. But man, how funny is this?
Yeah, it's fucked, dude. One pass attempt. It's crazy. I like it more. I like the trade more because it's like kind of like moot because now he only got 6 points from Renfrow, and I don't know. I just think it's one of those like throw your arms up kind of trade. I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, even when I saw this, I was like, okay, I don't care. He'll probably start. I don't know how long they'll have Tua out. The PR is tough, so I think they'll hold him out for a bit. So Teddy's fine, and Hunter Renfrow to me, he's like on the cusp of rosterable kind of. As someone who loves Hunter Renfrow, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Las Vegas. It's a weird team. I don't feel comfortable starting him. Last night was an example why. So that's all the trades. Awesome week. Let's get this going. I need a quarterback this week. Okay. I feel like in the beginning of the year, I remember Adam was like, I can't send offers anymore. I'm dejected. Nobody looks at them. They just get declined. That's where I am. I'm done. I'm sorry, everyone, for harassing you with my offers, and I promise you I'm done. So if I don't get anyone on the waivers, then I'll be starting Felipe Franks, who I think had 2 targets last week. the Falcons' backup quarterback, whatever his name is.
That's awesome.
So watch out, Chris Colby. He's coming for you. So there were some waiver pickups. Nothing too exciting. Taylor picked up Mike Boone for 15 clams. The backup to Melvin, at least for this game, because watch out. Adam picked up Latavius for $9, who the Broncos signed off the Saints practice squad. What do you guys think about this Denver situation?
Mike Boone for 15 might have been too much. Every time I think of Mike Boone, I remember when he was Latavius Murray's backup on the Vikings way back in the day. And I want to say I think that's where Latavius was at the time. But anyway, he was the backup on the Vikings. Everyone got hurt. Mike Boone has been a running back in the league for a few years. He's 28. My team name in the $100 league was once Booney Babies. So I'll always have a soft spot in my heart for Mike Boone. He's no like undrafted rookie. He's been around.
Man, I don't remember this guy at all.
Yeah, he's like 28.
Dude, I have no idea who the hell this guy is. I think the Broncos have much bigger problems in their running back situation, so like I don't really have much to say.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I guess Latavius is a stash. Mike Boone is like a spot start or something, but like on a not great offense. Which I mean, what? Are you gonna tell me there's 3 ownable running backs? I don't know. I'm not excited about it. Jacksonville went to $3 for to you, Fitzy. Who did they play?
They played against Houston. They
Did they have a
held
good
Houston
matchup?
to
Almost
13 points, and they got exactly 1 sack. That was it. 5 points.
Could have done worse.
What's the
Could've.
rationale with the $3?
Right? They have a good matchup next week?
My rationale for $3. First of all, they are facing Matt Ryan and Indy next
Okay.
week. So yeah, they are going to be a 2-week starter. And I also, proof is in the pudding. Someone else is going to put $1 for them, and I want these guys. I don't want to be sitting around with a couple bucks at the end of the year. I'd rather spend $3 on a defense. Why
Just
not?
like the auction.
We're
You don't
going to
wanna
see
have
an.
money at the end.
I'm almost sad that we're talking about it on the pod, because we're going to start to see an arms race for the defense people want is going to start going for, like, somebody will probably put, this could be a bet of the week. Someone's going to get a defense for $5 this year.
Just real quick, Jacksonville has actually already played Indianapolis. I'm pretty sure they put up like 20. So
But that is exactly correct. Now,
So-
they probably won't do it again. This one's in Indy, but get half that. I'd be thrilled.
right. And speaking of thrilled, I'm thrilled to, I think maybe for the first time in years and years, to finally have a defense that I can just set and forget in San Francisco. I don't need to worry about defense, and that's never been a thing for me. It's great. So I recommend next year in the auction, you guys nominate a defense early, because let them bid up. That's what I did. It was a new idea I had. I nominated a defense, and then nobody bid up. The cowards. Bailey Zapp went to $1. Zapped or Zappy? What is it?
Oh,
I think
Zappy.
Zappy.
Is it Zappy? I'm sorry.
Even if it's not Zappy, I'm calling him Zappy.
Bailey Zapdos went to Tyler for $1. He was shooting lightning bolts all over the Detroit field. He had a good game. He was a game managing, he did good. So good for Tyler for I guess he traded away Teddy Bridgewater. I guess this is his plan, is to take these quarterbacks and then trade them away. Great plan. Caleb Huntley for $6 to Adam. Tyler almost snagged him with 5. Did Caleb Huntley do anything? I don't really think so.
I doubt it.
I don't think anyone on the Falcons did much, right?
No, they did not.
I think Olandes and McKeas did pretty good. You guys looking to pick him up this week?
No.
I'm gonna put that name through Google Translate first. Oland. Is it Mickeyus, did you say, Colin?
Zacchaeus.
Do you know the name?
I
Yeah,
don't
no, we
know
all
his
know-
first name. I know Zacchaeus, though.
Oh, is it Zacchaeus? Okay.
I thought it was.
Olandes and Mickeyus.
Does it autocorrect?
Dude.
Nope. All right, whatever. But Google doesn't know what I'm trying to ask it. Teddy Bridgewater for $11 to Tyler. Let me ask you this: if Hunter Renfrow was on the waivers, would you pay $11? Probably, right?
No, I would not pick up Hunter Renfrow.
At all?
No.
If that's like a stat, okay.
You
First of all,
you just said he's borderline unrosterable, right? I don't think he's rosterable at
That's
all.
my opinion, because my roster has like 20 receivers on it. But
I'd put dollars on it. It wouldn't. I don't think it would be 11. I feel
I
like
guess my rationale is, if you he went out and then Matt Collins had like a 30-point game, and then he had like a 6-point game. But we know that it's there if they're if they're just blanketing Devontae. We know who is next in line is the number 2.
Matt Collins,
which was Matt Collins when Hunter was out. But
Matt
now,
Collins is better than Hunter Renfrow. He'll outscore Hunter Renfrow for the rest
what
of
is
the
this
season.
vendetta? You were like this last year. You had a vendetta against Hunter Renfrow. Is it because you
We'll
think
talk
he's
about this
ugly?
later.
Okay.
Nothing to do with being ugly. It's besides the point.
Speaking of points, go power rankers. It's time to do some power ranking. I haven't done it since I think right after the draft. So we're almost a third, like I said, about a third of the year, third of the way through the year. So let's do an updated one. We'll go from 12 to 1. If you guys want to jump in and interject, go ahead. Number 12. Some of these may shock you. Viewer discretion is advised. So number 12, I have Taylor.
You're wrong. You're already
Listen
wrong.
to me. Okay, listen to me. Taylor has scored less than 110 3 times this year.
Oh fuck! Really?
You know how many times Fitzy scored less than 110? Once, and it was like an 80-point game. Other than that, he's had like a 130, a 140, and then maybe like a
200.
No,
He scored over-
I'm saying Fitzy.
Okay.
Taylor had 200 when TJ Hawkinson had like 50 points and like he had a fluky week. Like good for him. I this isn't just a power ranking of teams, but of managers. And I don't Taylor, you're a great guy. Listen. Are you a great fantasy manager? I mean, you made it to the championship last year somehow. Can that happen again? Fitzy's always talking about fantasy karma. I don't know if it's true or not, but if it is, I think you spent it all up. 11, I view Fitzy. And honestly, it was tough to put you there because, like I said, I saw our matchup last week, and I was like, he could beat me. Would I say that about someone ranked 11? I don't know, but I wouldn't know who to put ahead of you. You're coming off your best week of the year.
You
You'll win
say
some
it was tough to
games.
put me at 11, and I feel like you should be saying it the opposite way. It's very tough to put me at 11 when I should be at 12th. Anyway, we'll move on.
Fitzy or Taylor has one game buoying his points for, and you just have like, I mean, you have one, hampering yours. But like I said, I'd rather have a team score like 120, 130 a week than one score. All right, whatever.
Oh my God, you're right. If me and Taylor faced each other every week, I would be 3-2. Oh my goodness.
He's the every odd week he scores less than 110. I think is what it is.
Yeah.
So Taylor, I don't know what he's doing. Chris Colby's number 10. I feel like I just look at his team, and it's just very meh. I don't think it's too exciting. He's got Devontae and Fournette. That's about it. Everyone from here on, I could see making the playoffs, including Chris Colby. Nothing huge, but Eric at 9. I had you ranked last to start the year because I didn't like Najee or CD. Now I like CD. I still don't like Najee. He's pretty much single-handedly dragging your team down. All that money you spent on him is just like you threw it in the fire, and that sucks. But maybe Pickett will make him better. 8 is Brandy, whose team I actually like looking at it, but I just feel like they're just all a bunch of underachievers. You got Kittle, Kamara, and Swift. Kamara's kind of turned it on. Swift is hurt. When he comes back, Burrow and Wilson. Christian Kirk is coming back to earth. The ingredients are there for a special season, though. An Eric-esque finish through the year. It's possible. Chris P. So for the second year in a row, here's my note. The second year in a row, Chris P. has traded himself into a hole that will be tough to dig out of. Chris P. likes to trade, I guess. Good for him. I like to trade too, but I don't want to hurt my team. But he's got Chubb and Henry. That's awesome. Those guys are awesome, huh? I like to see those guys. They don't need to catch passes. Corby, I have you at 6. I feel like you're just kind of top heavy, and then some questionable depth. I know the running backs. You just traded for Joe Mixon. That's great. AJ Dillon, I know you love your meaty man. I'm glad you changed your team name because that meat is it's getting rancid,
It's foul. It's fucking foul. That guy is poison.
Yeah, it's tough. 5 is Chris Cloud. These are the 4-1. This is the 4-1 squad, and then also 5-0. So these are the big dogs who I think they all are awesome teams. Chris Cloud is 5. He's got Josh Allen. What else is there to say? The number 1 player in fantasy. He's amazing. But outside of that, I mean, he's really top. He's got like one good player at every position, and then it's kind of questionable. Outside of tight end, where he has, who does he have? I think he's got Mark Andrews. He's got David Njoku, and he's got Tyler Higbee. I had an offer all week, Tyler Higbee for Gabe Davis. And he just like didn't. He didn't look at it. He could have had Gabe Davis, and he would have won this week. So look at your trade. Made a trade with me, and I could have had Tyler Higbee. Number 4 is Mike. Mike, this is probably too low for you, honestly. Your team is awesome. Your team is awesome, Mike. Fitzy's right. After years of torture, you're finally in line to have a great year. Kenneth Walker is about to tear the league up. George Pickens, he's here. You got all the rookies. You got Brees Hall. Awesome. Awesome team. It's just Zach Wilson and Derek Carr is very meh. It hurts the ceiling when you don't have the quarterbacks. Speaking of that, I put myself at 3. Yes, I'm the highest. I'm 5-0. I have the most points out of anybody. But the holes in the roster are starting to show. Jared Goff just had 5. Miles Sanders had like 6. The buys are coming, and the fact that I have to start, J.D. McKissick, Damian Pierce isn't going to save me this week. All right, he's sitting. I could lose this game. I got no backup. I have 2 quarterbacks who have the same buy. Whoops. Number 2 is Adam. He's got Lamar and Patrick Holmes, and he's been having great weeks with Keenan Allen sitting on his bench. Once those hammies are healed, Adam's going to be a great team. Love Adam's team. It's awesome. It's got Taysom Hill. How can you beat that? And then number 1 is Tyler, of course. Look at the projections. That's all I have to say. This guy's projected to score like 170 every week. He does have his one weakness. His depth isn't great, but you know, if that's your one weakness, if the 1 or 2 guys at the bottom of your flexes is your weakness, every week there's guys on waivers you can just fill in there. Once the buys are done, it's smooth sailing for Tyler. So that's the power rankings. It was really emotional for me, as you guys could probably tell. What do you guys think?
I think you hit it out of the park with number 1. This feels like the first time in a long time that there's a team that's just like unstoppable. Like I just feel like his team is so overpowered, and like I don't know how anyone can beat him without like injuries. I think that's like that's how I'm feeling. I think your power rankings are great. I would put Chris P above me. I put him at 6. I think I like his team a little bit more. I think you're underselling the Derrick Henry catch thing. He's caught 10 balls in the past 3 games. So like
He's caught 10 balls on the year also. That's also true.
well, hey, he's trending, like
He's trending.
it's been trending like past
Well,
3 games.
that was about his rate last year was 3 per game. So I mean, I believe it.
Game.
Yeah. Well,
He's trending.
Did I make a comment about him not catching passes? I don't know.
No, I did.
Oh, okay. I don't. Yeah. He'll get 2 or 3 a game, and that's fine. It's he's no JD McKissick out there. He's no Brees Hall.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think he knocked it out of the park. When we say, like, I don't know how Tyler could lose, I also don't know, like, just a quick retrospective. How did Tyler only put up 122 points in week 2 and lose to Adam? Like, that feels infeasible for his team. So we saw the floor. It's only up from there. And his floor is, I think, still over my average per week. So good for you, Tyler. Great team. Well, Colin, you got pretty emotional there. So let's take a step back and have a little bit of fun here for a little bit. And it's name changes time. I'll give you the spotlight first. Who went to be a Hillionaire? You wrote the show notes, and you wrote, quote, "Wow, what a stroke of genius." Yes. So talk to me about that.
Obviously, that was sarcastic. I thought it was. I don't know. I like to self-deprecate, but this was made stream of consciousness in real time, like while texting Corby, because Corby was like, "You need to change your team name because what was I, Waka Flacco Flame or whatever." Yeah. So I was like, okay, like I had a bunch in the, I think what did it? I've had Millsy and Dollar Gaby in the back seat for a while, because David Mills and Gabe Davis. But
yeah,
I don't know. I was. So then
you don't want to invest in that and do the whole Photoshop because you're actively trying to trade Gabe Davis away. So
Davis and Davis Mills because I need a quarterback. So yeah, I would trade Davis Mills for like someone I could just start this week. But and also like the Millsian, I don't know. And then I realized that Hill sounded better, and so then it just kind of went from there. What has millionaire, Hillionaire, who wants to be a millionaire, who went, it was a stroke of genius, like I wrote. Corby, can you rate it real quick?
Solid 9, baby. I love it. It's great.
Dog.
Awesome. Good as always. Good as always.
So this I don't think it'll be like last year. I don't think I'll have these, these epiphanies. I think this might just be it as long as I don't make trades. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Mike, he continues his just stomping of his opponents. He goes to their logo, which is their team name, and he just stomps on it. He stomps on it by changing his team name. So Eric, I think Mike actually changed his first because Eric was like 0-99 or whatever, and then Mike changed it to 5-1 because he's 4-1 right now playing Eric.
Yep. The
implication being he's going to win. And then Eric matched that energy, that sad energy, by changing to 1-5, the little sad emoji man as his profile picture.
And like I said, nothing's funnier to me right now than seeing that sad man with the diamond profile around it. There's some sweet comedy there. Corby, I'll kick it to you next because the next change I have on the list is you changing your name to Daniel Jones's Diary. Just like talk to me a little bit here.
Before we get there, I want to just give a quick rating on Mike's name. Mike, I'll give you a solid another 9 here. More trash talk, better. Eric, I'll give yours a 10 because I agree with Fitzy. The the little emoji man fits perfectly in the Yahoo circle, and I think it's very funny. On the topic of Daniel Jones, I've decided to embrace Daniel Jones now because he's going to be in my starting lineup for the foreseeable future. I love this guy. There's something about the Giants being 4-1 that is so fun and exciting to me. And like, even though he had like a really bad ankle sprain this past week, he still had 40 rushing yards. Like, so I'm in on Daniel Jones. And so I thought, okay, what can I do that is like, I don't know, easily recognizable, right? So I just thought Daniel Jones's diary. And also, I didn't know that it was spelt this way. Daniel Jones is with 2 S's. I don't know, whatever. But then I thought, because I forgot, I don't know anything about this movie except that I guess it's a love triangle. And so I thought, who should the love triangle be with? And so obviously I should incorporate my other quarterbacks. And I don't think I'm going to change my team name for the rest of the season. Probably, I feel really good about this one. The other one, the Algernon Trav Palmer was really good, but I just don't. Those guys aren't long for my roster, so I got to move on.
Plus, I'll just say from a accessibility standpoint too, nobody has to Google what is Daniel Jones's diary, but we all get it. That makes it that gives it a little bump there. I'll call this one a 9 out of 10. Love to see it. But if I can, I want to actually kick it over to my favorite team name. And it's Chris Colby with the continued evolution of his journeys in and around Colby Island. He was a sinking ship. Now he's a shipwreck. I'm calling it a 10 out of 10, not because this one is particularly special, but he's creating a storyline for his team. What's going to happen next around Colby Island is something I can't wait to see.
Yeah, I have to give credit where credit's due here. I think this is fantastic. I'm looking forward to the Odyssey in which unfolds in front of us. I'm looking forward to it. 10 out of 10.
Many people forgot that Mike annexed Colby Island too, so it's had a long and storied history. Who knows what will be in the future? So that's it for names. Let's look at the matchups for this upcoming week. We're in week 6. First up, we got me, Colin, versus Chris Colby. It's tough to say right now. I still don't have a quarterback. Somebody help me. Or maybe by the time that this reaches the listeners, somebody will have helped me. We got PJ Walker on the waivers. Maybe I can snag him. What do you guys think he's worth?
Like 5.
If he's actually going to start this week and you need a quarterback, probably at least 5, honestly, yeah.
Do you guys both have 2 quarterbacks? Maybe I shouldn't have brought it up. Okay, good. All right, so maybe I'll have PJ Walker in there. Let's assume I have PJ Walker. What do you guys think? Who's going to win this game?
Well, let me interject here. Back by popular demand, I've decided to create themes for these matchups. This one is going to be wrestler themed. For all my wrestling fans out there, I know that you guys probably aren't, but this one's really mostly for Eric and Chris Colby. So, So there's no fantasy analysis here. I'm going to just compare your team to a wrestler. Colin, you're like Roman Reigns right now. Like you're at the top of you're at the top. You're literally the champion right now because you're undefeated. We need to acknowledge you as the champion, and that's kind of the thing. Chris Colby, you're like Gilbert. You're a weak and you're a big baby. Goo goo gaga. Colin is going to Superman punch you into oblivion. So give me Colin.
That's great, Corby. I am going to go to a little bit of fantasy analysis though, because I told you I had a fire coming in this week, and I got some numbers that I ran. This one not so numerical. This one really might come down, Colin, to what kind of QB you can get, and the health of Winston and Dalton Schultz over on Chris's side. I'm going to hold my pick until after I ask you this question, Colin. How does it feel to have DeAndre Hopkins and Jacoby Myers on your bench while the rest of us squirm?
It's fucking frustrating because nobody will trade despite that. If you need depth, just come to me. I have so many players. What's the problem?
Okay,
Send me a counter.
Thank you, Colin. I'm picking Chris Colby because of your arrogance. Chris is the clear protagonist in this matchup.
This is no hero's journey. This is fantasy football, okay? Taylor made it to the championship last year. I'm going to win. Yeah, all those receivers are on my bench because none of my main dudes are on bye. So at least I get a full, get my full, battalion of wide receivers. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna win. I'll pick up somebody. Uh, maybe I can get Eno, so I don't have to start J.D. McKissick. I don't know. I'm never good at gauging fab. I don't know who's gonna go for what, but we'll see.
Before we move on to the next matchup, let's not forget our co-host. Please welcome back the coin.
The coin is going to be taking Colin, and I don't know if that's good or bad juju after an 0-6 week.
Oh, jeez.
Our next matchup is Cash taking on Chris Cloud, and for me, this is a clash of titans here. Cash coming off a 200 burger, and he has next to no bye weeks to worry about. Chris Cloud's team, still super interesting to me. Jonathan Taylor's health is still up in the air for Chris. Tyler's got an unbelievable core, though. They were the top 3 scoring overall flex options week 1, Tyler's core is. And they've kept that mostly up with Cooper Kupp still at number 1. Justin Jefferson, a few points behind Diggs, now at number 3. And Saquon, oh man, he's really fallen off to RB3, flex number 7 overall. Give me Tyler's studs and studs team this week.
Yeah, he also has Zach Ertz in a year where we're all floundering at tight end, nearly all of us. Zach Ertz has put up 10 points every single week. Might falter once Hopkins come back. It's not this week. The one thing is Chris Olave might not play because he had a concussion that last game. They're being real careful now, about that. So I don't know if he'll have him. Either way, I'm going to take Tyler. Just slot in. Well, I don't know who you can slot in, but you'll slot in somebody. So I'll take Tyler.
Yeah, you guys are really you're stealing my thunder on this one. Tyler here is like John Cena. His team is just so stacked, it's literally impossible to overcome. But sometimes he takes an L. Like very often he'll go out on his back. Probably not going to be this week. That's not to say that I don't like Chris's team here, because Chris is pretty much like Bret Hart. He's like a classically constructed fantasy football roster, all around good players in every position. I just don't think it's going to happen for him again this week. So I've got Cash giving Chris an avalanche attitude adjustment off the top rope and pinning him in the middle of the ring. So give me Cash.
And to round us off, the coin is on Cloud Island.
Next matchup here, we've got Chris Patnode versus Brandy. Chris P, this one took me the longest to think about because I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized that it reminds me of The Big Show, because The Big Show is a wrestler who I can never figure out because he's either heel or face like every other week. So I don't know if it's good or bad or what. I feel okay about it though. Brandy, your team is like Daniel Bryan, right? You've got a scrappy gym rat team. You're gonna bust your ass no matter what, trying to win the big one, and you'll get there someday. But I don't know if it's gonna happen at this WrestleMania or the next WrestleMania. So honestly, I'm gonna go with Chris P here. Yeah, I think he's gonna chokeslam Brandy through the announcer table.
Yeah, it's tough for Brandy, who's got, Bateman is maybe coming back, and then Swift has been hurt. So, like you said, brighter days ahead. I don't think this is a brighter day. Anytime you have to start Corey Davis, MVS, Michael Carter, who did have 2 touchdowns last week, but I don't know about that again. Juju, it's a motley crew of disheveled, outcasts. So, give me Chris, who I think has a pretty solid start all around, other than Allen Robinson.
So you both like Chris P here, huh? Well, I'm going to go against the grain. That's right. I'm against whole grain. Anti-bran. Give me Chris P and his gluten-free team. The coin is flipping around and sticking to Brandy by themselves. In our next matchup, we've got Mike B versus Eric, and it's Mike's year. It's not a maybe anymore. It is Mike's year. He's got the swaggiest team picture in the league. He keeps changing his team name to make people scared. And Eric is shook right now after eking out a win against Taylor last week. Mike has Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker III. There's not a spot on his roster I don't like. But that said, Eric just hit diamond, and Mike's still 3 points under the bronze cap. I think Eric squeaks out a Diamond Boy bump this week and gets the dub.
You think he's gonna gatekeep Mike from
Just for
Silver?
one more week. Mike, I'm picking you every week starting next week, but it's Eric for this week.
All right. So Fitzy has now never taken Mike, proclaiming it Mike's year. Well, how prophetic, by the way.
Yeah,
Proclaiming
really.
it Mike's year because it
I
clearly
will be
is.
asking for credit for that, by the way. I will be asking for credit.
And that must have been what happened to your fantasy juju, is you accidentally gave it to Mike. Eric, your best player is on bye. I'm on Ross St. Brown. Ramondre without Damien's going to tear it up, but I don't think it'll be enough to save your team from Mike's onslaught of fantasy points. Give me Mike.
Yeah, this one here I've got billed as a Hell in the Cell match. I don't know. It just feels like it's going to be a slobber knocker. Mike is the chosen one this year. He's like Drew McIntyre. He's this guy who's been overlooked in the past for, he's hopped around to different leagues and stuff, couldn't get it figured out, but now he's back in the big leagues in a big way, and he's ready for the spotlight. Eric, you're like Ric Flair, dude. Like, you're a past champion who just doesn't know when to call it quits. So I think I'm going to say Mike here is going to throw Eric through the top of the Hell in the Cell into the ring and pin him right in the middle. So give me Mike.
All right, Eric, I'm the only one that believes in you because the coin is taking Mike.
Next up, we got Taylor versus Adam, one of the 5-1 boys. It's Mr. 12 rank versus Mr. I think 2 rank today of Adam. So you can already guess where I'm leaning. Listen up, Taylor. Answer me something, okay? If Rondale Moore is such a big name, why didn't you start him over Mr. 5% snap share, Chase Edmonds last week when you would have won if you did? I'm going to take Adam. What do you guys think?
One rush, 1 yard for Chase Edmonds.
Look at a couple targets, too.
And people say that a target is more valuable than a rush. I don't know anymore. Adam, your even week scoring is not quite as clear as the 157 that you consistently put up on odd weeks. You had 164 in week 2 and 138 in week 4. Now, I ran these through my models to try to see what machine learning may be able to glean from this pattern. Would it mirror the golden ratio? How might the Fibonacci sequence play into the projection? In the end, my model projected Adam for 112 points this week, a straight line down from 164 to 138 to 112. Now, 112 points is exactly how many Eric scored last week to beat Taylor, so I'm rolling with Adam to beat Taylor with 112 points.
It's a very accurate prediction. That's all it takes, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would just look at the rosters and determine who's going to win. I wouldn't use math and stuff. But if you're like me, you could also make them wrestlers. So for Taylor, I'm going with the Hurricane here. I don't know if you guys know who the Hurricane is. He was like a superhero kind of guy. Totally weak, funny to look at, but a crowd favorite for sure. And for some reason, he would sometimes go over big guys like The Rock every now and again. And that just feels like Taylor's team. He put up 200 points last week or 2 weeks against me and whatnot, but he's always puts up stinkers otherwise. Adam is Mr. Perfect. He's Adam. He can do no wrong. He's just a perfect human being. He's just Mr. Perfect. So I've got Adam pitting Taylor with a perfect flex here.
That gives us a round of Adam as the coin is rolling with us.
And to finish it off, it's a battle of the co-hosts as Fitzy takes on Corby. Tensions are high as these two teams both seeking a win. Corby needs to get this dub to hang in playoff contention, and Fitzy needs to start digging himself out of rock bottom. It's going to be tough, though. What do you do? Any of you guys passionate about this one?
Let me start this off with a fun fact. There's a fun fact here. Fitzy has not once hit his projection this entire season. And for that reason, I'm saying Fitzy is like Mr. Kennedy. He's got a big mouth. Sometimes he speaks a little too much. Sometimes he's got too many jokes. And he's just never going to reach heights like he should, just like his predictions. So that's who Fitzy is. And for me, I'm going to keep going with the boring motif here. And my team's boring, so I'm going with Jinder Mahal. I've reached the pinnacle in the past for some reason. I'm pretty I'm a pretty buff guy too, so that is definitely a plus. Realistically, I'm just not going anywhere though. Who's gonna get the W though? Me, because nobody hinders the Jinder.
Oh, Corby. First of all, I cannot believe you said that I've got too big a mouth, too many jokes. I'm coming at you with a bit of fire here. First, the coin's on my side. And I've only got one question for you, Corby. Do you have the guts to start Daniel Jones against me this week?
Yes, I will absolutely be starting him this week.
Oh, all right. Then I pick you.
I'm feeling like a contrarian here because I look at Fitzy's roster and I see Dalvin Cook finally having a good game, Jeff Wilson continuing to put up RB1 numbers, and Devin Duvernay defying all odds to become a wide receiver, almost one. Chris Godwin is back and he's looking great. Juwan Johnson is not going to be on Fitzy's starting lineup, I hope. Justin Hurts, Jesus Christ. Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts. Mostly Jalen Hurts. He's going to be putting up big points. Meanwhile, Corby's starting stinky flexes. Josh Falmer, Brandon Ayuk, and Drake London. Give me Fitzy. Unless Corby. If Isaiah McKenzie plays, do you have the guts to start him?
Oh, absolutely, no doubt about
Yeah,
it.
he's awesome. You should trade.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you don't trade
I
him to
fucking
me.
love that guy. I would never trade him to you. I would never trade with you.
I own him in every league I'm in except this one, so it's tough to see him succeed on someone else's team. Give me Fitzy. So that's all the matchups, which means it's time for everyone's favorite segment. It's bets of the week. So first, we're going to recap last week's. If you remember when Cash was here, we had quite a few bets. We bet on the Patriots-Lions game, over/under being 23.5 points. The Patriots smashed that over. What did they score? 29 in the shutout? Good for them.
Yeah, we should have bet the under on total points in the game, I guess, huh? Like, yikes. What happened to
Yeah,
the
the
Lions?
Lions first scoring, they were the top scoring offense, or one of them in the league, scoring like, I don't know, 33, 35. I know they were allowing a bunch, but they were also scoring a bunch.
In hindsight, this feels like the ultimate trap game in terms of like pools and stuff. Like, this just feels like, in retrospect, I feel like such a dumbass.
Yeah,
Because they're still the Lions. I don't know.
right. And Belichick always has Goff's number. The next bet was Devin Duvernay. Oh, also the results of that one. Yeah, Corby and Fitzy bet the under. Me and Cash bet the over. I think there were specifics about who to who, but we'll figure that out on our own time. Devin Duvernay. Fitzy said, Colin, I think he's going to score 12. I said, no way. Well, he scored more than that. I took the under. Fitzy said over. He won. I still won the game, so I'm not going to be upset.
Yeah, I mean, you knew he was going to go under 12 based on his receiving. That was correct. But it's all the other little things he does to contribute to the game. He scored 2.4. He scored 2.4 points on 3 rushes, and that's what did it for me to pick him over the top. It's funny you said my favorite segment is Bets of the Week because it's the one time in fantasy football every week I know I can get a win. So,
well, speaking of getting wins,
yep, I'm excited for this one, Tyler.
You said, will Tyler be platinum? And Tyler said, no, he didn't believe in himself. Well, too bad, because it looks like he won enough games to launch himself into the platinum stratosphere, the platosphere, if you will.
And you know what's fun about this one? I tried to say no at first, and he said, no, I don't think I'm gonna. I just wanted to make this bet so badly that I would take either side. So it's good to get a win by accident there. This next win was not an accident. It was a bet Brandy versus me, total points last week. Now, Colin and Cash both believed in Brandy. Corby, my man, believed in me, so did I. We were on the right side of history.
Easiest bet I've ever made in my life. There's never been something more guaranteed than that right there. Finally, we had Evan Ingram versus Tyler Conklin for total points.
Whoa!
I took Tyler. Yeah, what a barn burner. Yeah, Tyler Conklin losing. I took Tyler Conklin, and Fitzy took Evan Ingram. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of weird that you bet on him, even though they were on a bye last week. But
it was
wait a sec.
Oh, right, it was a rest week. Yeah, sure. This week he'll put up crazy numbers.
Oh yeah, he's got fresh legs.
Evan Ingram is the center of a lot of bets. There was this one. There was the Kyle Pitts one. And then there's a season-long Evan Ingram versus Najee in receptions. I'm starting to think Evan Ingram's going to go 3-0. I keep doubting him, and Mr. Soft Hands keeps surprising us. Don't worry, Mr. Soft Hands. He'll be in my lineup the rest of the year.
Stop calling him that.
Evan Ingram lives
That's
rent
not what
free
I
in all of
call
our
him.
heads.
Do you not hear Scott Hansen every Sunday saying, "There's Mr. Soft Hands"? Do you guys get any new bets?
I've got a few this week. I've got 2 specific to Corby. We're facing each other. It's as it should be. And I've got 2 wide open ones. So I'll go first, and I'm going to start with one of the wide open ones. We record on Tuesdays prior to transactions going through. And I think part of this is just me kind of being sad that I was actually right about something, even though I was completely wrong about the timing. Alec Pierce is a guy who I started for 2 weeks because I believed in the talent. Do you think anyone not on this podcast today will put a bid in for him after turning 9 targets into 8 for 80 on Thursday night?
Yes.
Of course.
I agree. I want to set an over-under for you, but we're going to go 3 closest to the pin. Because I'm proposing it, I will go first, and I think it might be pretty low. I'm going to go 7. It's somebody not on tonight's pod.
No, I would say 11.
Yeah, I feel like Adam the analysis is gonna put in a good bid for him. 11's a really good number, but I'll say 9. I guess we'll do 7.
I like that.
7, 9, 11.
I have one for you, Fitzy.
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm sure this is maybe one of yours because you like to make this bet when we face each other. I just bet that I'll beat you.
Oh, I didn't have that bet at all.
Oh.
And I already bet on you. So
Okay.
it's hard for me to make that one. But Corby, don't worry. We'll have a bet for each other here. Colin, I don't want to cut you off, but just because we're rolling here, Corby, this one is fantasy points related. Currently, my QBs are projected to outscore your QBs by 3 points. But Justin Fields is projected for the same amount as Daniel Jones at 16. So I think the projections might be a little bit off. My bet's simple. I think my QBs will outscore yours.
I'll take it.
All right.
I'll take it. Daniel Jones is going off this week. He's going to have 14 points. Colin, you got any bets?
I have a bet. I bet this week that there will be an overtime game. Do you guys think there will?
Yes.
I do. Yes. My analysis says there will be an overtime game.
I have a bet. I bet this week there will be no overtime game.
Jesus Christ.
I'll take
Okay,
that
you
bet.
guys think they will?
I'll take that bet.
I will take that bet.
That's right. When all else fails, go for the overtime.
I've got another bet just for you, Corby. And it's another easy one. It's only for you. I bet that Chris Colby will make the playoffs in this league.
Okay. Let me put my biases aside. Nah, fuck him. He's not going to make playoffs. I'm in. Let's go.
All right. Let's roll that one. And Colin, I don't want to exclude you. This one can be for both of you. But Colin, if you're interested, it's tailor-made for you. To bet just for this week, Geno Smith is QB5 on the year. So my bet is a simple one. He'll be outside the top 12 this week.
Yeah, he will be. Who's he? He's playing a good matchup, right? Playing
Arizona.
Arizona. Yeah. Give me top 12.
All right.
I would also take top 12 if I can get in on this.
Oh, I don't want to open myself up to too much Geno Smith exposure, but I'll do it.
I do have one I'm kind of on the fence about because in the beginning of the year I made a bet that J.D. McKissick would be the top scoring running back in Washington, which is going, I think, okay for me.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he is right now, but I think Antonio Gibson still has it. But, this was my whole plan was that Brian Robinson's going to come back. And do you guys think he'll be the top scorer this week?
McKissick?
Yeah.
They play.
Or do you want to take the field?
They play Chicago this week.
That's a bad game script for J.D. McKissick.
I don't want to bet on J.D. McKissick.
Yeah, bet against him.
I don't want to bet against him either. That guy is
Scary.
He scares me. It's because every time I play against him, he scores like 25 points.
Well,
Colin, just because I know you like to bet on J.D. McKissick, I'll take the field for you.
Yeah, I think you'll win.
Well, Gibson's going to be returning punts, so he's going to take one to the house.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Do we have any more bets?
I'm good.
So that concludes the bets of the week. And in doing so, that concludes this episode of the Why Do Boys Make Podcast podcast. I want to thank everyone for listening. And I want to thank everyone in advance for commenting and subscribing and bell hitting. So make sure you do all those things. We got 10 comments this week. I'm hoping to see 20 next time. Even if it has to be me hiring a bunch of bots to make AI. It looked like Adam made a comment that was written by AI. Maybe he's onto something. And also, don't forget to hit that big thumb. And I don't mean the one that goes down. Hit that like button. It's a big thumbs up. It'll help. It helps our. It helps us in the the recommendations. I want to see someone from this video get onto this video. They're gonna get deep into a rabbit hole and land on this video and be like, "Where am I?" So that does it. So I'm Colin.
I'm Fitzy.
And I'm Corby.
And gamers. Game on.
Sweet Caroline. Good times never seem so